Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our brand new podcast, officially called A Dork and a Diva. My name is Chris, and this is Teena. Say hi, Teena.
Hi, Chris. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, I wanted to start off with our new segment, Big Bag of
Oh,
Questions.
she's just diving right into it, are you?
I'm diving
I love
right
it. I have some
in.
coffee. Let's go. What do you want to know, girl?
Okay. So I thought, we have that big list of questions. So I thought I would ask you two questions and you could ask me two questions. We'll do it like one at a time.
Sure.
But I'm going to go first.
And it's called,
Are you ready?
this is called the Big Bag of Questions. Is that what you're making?
Big Bag of Questions. There's some fun stuff in there. There's some more serious stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of put together some stuff I thought we could, might spark a conversation or we could talk a little bit deeper.
I love it. Let's do it.
You ready? Okay. First question.
Mm-hmm.
Diving right in.
Let's go.
What's your favorite quality about yourself?
Oh, I'm so handsome. Just kidding.
You are.
I'm teasing.
You're a good-looking guy.
My favorite quality about myself. Okay, so the big bag of questions is going right for the. Okay, I got it. I like that I am creative and willing to take a chance and a risk on things. I think that's always been something that I've cultivated in my life. My risks don't always pay off. Most of the time they don't, but I still take them, and I think it's something I enjoy about myself. I like that I am a bit of a risk taker or willing to do something that is not quite the norm. Go on a different path or be off a beaten trail, kind of a thing. I've always loved growing up when I was watching TV shows and stuff. Like, there's always the character. You're watching your favorite sitcom in the 80s. Pick one. Alf, Empty Nest, Golden Girls, whatever you want to watch. And there's always this secondary character. It's usually someone's cousin, someone's brother, someone's sister, someone's uncle. And they come in for an episode because they're a world traveler. And they're usually a photographer or a writer or something, right? And they travel the world and they do all these cool things. And they're just breezing through town to have this moment with this family, and they're gone. I always loved those people. I always did. I always wanted to be that person. And so I think that's kind of what I've cultivated a little bit in my life. And I think that's my favorite quality, or one of my best qualities. That's what I like about myself. Is that a good answer? Is that okay?
No, I think that's you know what? There is no wrong answer because I'm asking what you think about you. Oh. I would like to share what I think about you, what I think your best quality is. Oh. Well, I won't say that I think it's your best quality necessarily, but it's one that I admire in you. And it's that you're kind of tough. You stand up for yourself and you stand up for, with no hesitation. Not that I don't stand up for myself, but generally it takes me a minute. I'll let some things slide that maybe I shouldn't before, like, my back's up against a wall and then I come out swinging. Yeah. But you just don't. You put your boundaries up right away, and you're not like mean about it. It's not extra rough. It's just like no. That's not what we're going to do now. Right. What we're going to do is this. You know what I mean? And I just wish sometimes I got there a little quicker. So I that's something that I really like about, because you know who you are and you know what you're going to do, what you're going to put up with and what you're not going to put up with. And you have no problem communicating that to somebody right away. And I think that's good.
Thank you.
It sets boundaries right away.
I agree. Yeah. I think boundaries are so important. They're so important.
They are.
I mean, I think part of that comes from a place of the career that I chose early in life to be an actor was a career that I pursued for many, many years. 20 years of that career pursuing really shows you that no one in the world is going to speak up for you. No one's going to fight for you. You have to do it yourself, and you have to advocate, and you have to fight, and blah, blah, blah. So when you carry that with you from acting into other parts of your life, it just makes sense to set those boundaries and establish yourself. You're also trained really easily by this point to like go, hey, what about me? Kind of a thing. Or hey, you're fucking with me, knock it off. Sometimes it comes off as selfish, but sometimes it's also very effective at like kind of establishing who you are.
Yeah, but I don't think. Yeah, no, I agree. I just don't think that there's something. It's okay to be selfish every once in a while, especially if you're taking care of yourself.
So too. I agree.
You know what I mean? I think we put too much stock in, you can take care of yourself and take care of others.
100%.
If you want to call that selfish,
100%.
Fine. But then that's
one of the greatest things. One of the greatest life lessons ever taught to me came from airline safety. I think we all talk about it, and I mention this all the time. You have to put your mask on first before you can help anyone else. Oh, and it is the truest thing. My dear lovely husband Brian is a bleeding heart liberal, everyone needs help and I'm here to help everyone, I will save the world type person. And so he does everything at the expense of himself for everyone else. And I'm constantly saying, put your oxygen mask on, and he's like, no, it's selfish. I'm like, not if you're dead, how selfish is that? put your oxygen mask on.
Right. If you die,
Right?
who are you helping?
Gosh.
You're not. Yeah.
So
It's a yeah. There. I mean, there's so many ways to say that, right? So put your oxygen mask on. I really like, but there's fill your cup first
yeah,
and all of that stuff. You can't pour from an empty cup and all of those things are.
absolutely.
That's. I mean, those things are all legit. That's something that you really need to learn to take care of yourself. And I think people don't prioritize it. So
No, and it takes
it's a good
time.
thing to
It
do.
takes time. I mean, if there's an 18-year-old listening to this podcast going, "Oh God, I don't know how to do that," don't worry. None of us know how to
Yeah.
do that at that age. None of us know how to do it.
Yeah.
It takes time, and some of us learn it faster than others. But I was well into my 30s before I was comfortable, speaking up
Yeah.
for myself and standing up for myself. Honestly, I'd always get there eventually, but it was always hard into my 30s.
And it looks different for different people, right?
Sure.
People communicate differently,
Absolutely.
so it looks different. But
Yeah.
you don't have to have anything figured out right now. I'm well over 30, and I don't have everything figured out. So
What's
all
the
is not
rule?
lost.
What's the rule in your house? Over 20 years? She's over 20 years
nothing
above
is-
30. How about that?
Not many.
Not many, no. And
years
I'm only
above
I only
20.
get to tease you because you're 3 years ahead of
I
me.
know.
That's it.
I know.
And I will.
But that
I
works.
will.
All right.
do
Well,
that.
thank you for your answer. I thought that was great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a fun question. What's next? Are you doing another? Oh, wait, do I get to do a question now?
You get to do a question.
Okay.
Oh God, I'm scared. Hold on, let me get comfortable here.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm thinking. I mean, kind of along the lines of your question, the one that I drew just
Okay.
now. Oh, look, from the big bag of questions, was what is something that you're bad at? You are good at quite a lot of things, and I will also share with
Wow.
you some things about you that I like later. I won't just say these are the things I think you're bad
Okay.
at, but
Yeah, I
along
get it.
that line, Mama always said, "Know your strengths and know your weaknesses." Right? So,
True
what are your
story.
weaknesses?
So I feel like I'm in a job interview right now.
Or a
So
dating
some
profile?
things that I am bad at. So yeah, dating
Mhm.
profile, right? So some things that I'm bad at. Let's see, or something that I'm bad at. I think something that I do and I don't like it, and I have gotten better at it, but something I'm not naturally good at is being a planner. My husband and I have this conversation all the time. He's always talking about, well, when we retire or when we do this, and I'm like, dude, I'm trying to get to tomorrow. Like I can't, I can't think that's too far from me,
Yeah.
right? And so it makes me kind of a bad planner because I don't look that far ahead. So some tools that I have tried to use, and at work it's different because I have my calendars all put together and I know what I'm doing for the next 6 months, and I can plan that way. But just as far as like where I see myself in 5 years on my personal life, I'm like,
Impossible.
I don't know. Like let me get through the
I know.
week. Yeah. So I'm just not really good at it, and I don't think about it that much. And I think that I don't know. I just never have. I've never really thought. The only time I can remember in my life where I thought, when I get older or whatever, was like when before I was 18. I remember God, I can't wait till I'm 18.
Oh,
And I was
sure.
picturing all these wonderful things
Of
that were going to
course.
happen when I was an
Yeah,
adult.
of
You know what I
course.
mean?
Oh, being an
And-
adult was going to save the world. Your life was going to change. Everything was going to be great.
And if my mom would have just had me 3 years earlier,
You'd be an adult
I
by
was so
now.
mad at her for a long
Yep,
time. I know. But so that's where that kind of ends up. I don't look into the future and go, okay, well, if I do this now, then that's going to help me in 5
That's
years.
interesting.
I'm just kind of living. I'm so in the moment all the time, which is not always a good. It's not always a good.
Well,
thing. It really
they
is.
they preach, right? They preach, the artists preach, the Buddhists preach, all the meditation people preach, living in the moment, live in the moment, live in the moment. But the reality is, there is also a tomorrow. Some of us have to plan for, right? So it's hard to do.
Right.
But this might make you feel better. I once read, you know how I love people who say studies show, studies show. I once read that, what did I read? It was the idea that we as a people, our group versus the other, and our group will always come first, and the other we don't think about as a species. Humans don't think about as much. We're not worried about the other, we're worried about ourselves and our group, right? So we are going to make sure our group has food before the others do. We're going to make sure we have shelter before the others do. The idea of planning for your future falls in the same line as yourself today is looking at your future self as the other. So you're planning for yourself today and not worrying about the other. It's something humanity does, and it's insane, but you're not the only one that has a problem with it. It's true.
Yeah, it's I don't like past me very much. You know what I mean? Like I'm making problems for future me right now.
Exactly.
So I'm like, man, if I would have just done this earlier. So yeah, I just think that's something that I'm not too great at it. But you know what I will say is that my husband is really great at it.
Right.
So, Jack is a planner and he's looking down there. I mean, he's already like, we're going to have this much, we're going to have all these things paid off in 5 years. And then we're going to buy this and we're going to do this and we're going to get this income. I'm like,
that is great.
Let's
do
it.
That's great. As long as one of you are looking at that, that's fantastic. Brian and I are similar in that, well, actually, neither one of us really look too hard at the future, although we have plans. We are planning for our future. Don't panic, everyone. Right. But, we're not the traditional 401k retirement package pension people. We just, that person that travels the world as a photographer and a writer doesn't have a 401k, right? So that's the lifestyle we've created. But it's hard. It's hard to plan for that future sometimes. We certainly do it short term. I think we do really well short term. We have goals, we set goals, but long term, retirement, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like I have short-term goals. And when I say short-term, in the next couple of months, but I'm talking about like putting that plan together and just following it through. I struggle.
It's funny, we plan very well at our jobs because we have that responsibility too, right? It's our responsibility too. We need a paycheck. We have people depending on us. That's what we need to do. So we can do it quite easily. But for ourselves, no. There's no need to plan for that person. We'll worry about that person later. That person will be fine, which is insane. Yes. Is that putting the oxygen mask on first? I don't think it is, but
I don't think it is either.
But here we are. We do the same thing. I tell you, put your oxygen mask on first. And then I'm like, I'm not saving for my future. I'm living my life now. It's crazy. I would say that planning for the future is a good one for me. I'm not good at. I'm not good at it. But my real weakness is math. I just don't like math in general. It's challenging. It's really challenging for me. I guess I'm just one of those people. My brain does not work that way, and it's part of the. I can't hold an image in my head. There's no image in my head, so I can't hold an equation. I can't see the math problem. I can't just write it out like people seem to do. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So how else am I supposed to hold all those things in my head and pull them back? I don't get it. But yeah,
what kind of math are you trying to do?
Well, physics and advanced trigonometry.
That's more of a science. There you go.
I don't know. Even simple like long division. There's this idea of new math that's floating around. You parents probably encountered this as a parent, and I don't. I'm not going to here to talk about that because I don't really care about it. I don't have children. But what I realized was their version of new math was how I had done math my entire life, because I couldn't remember, even though I could tell you every line I've ever learned from The Outsiders and every lyric of a song I've ever heard, I couldn't remember that 9 times 5 was 45. Of course I can. But what I would do was I know that 5 times 10 is 50. So if I take one of those away, because there's only 9, that's 45. Right? And so I would groups and groups. And that's how I do math. So it slows me down, but I can do it. But now start to divide and do, fractions. Forget it. There's no way. I can't hold it in my head.
I agree with you. And math is not my strong suit. I do it. I do math regularly. I've always had jobs in finance or banking.
You have. That's what's so crazy. You have sales, banking, like all this great stuff that requires numbers, and it's not really math, is it? I mean,
it's not really. I mean, there's times when you have to know the formulas, right? Sure. I don't have to do that in my head, and I don't have to write it out longhand. Right. So when I did loans, I had a loan calculator that would help me out, but I had to know what to plug in where.
Sure.
I had to be able to calculate interest and do stuff like that. But there are tools for it. But yeah, I math. So, and the reason you have to use your tools, especially in all the jobs I've had, is because you're messing with other people's money.
Yeah.
Right. So it's important to not do it. But, I was going to say you're talking about visualization and how you can't really see that in your head. So I think it comes from my mother-in-law, but my husband and my youngest son can do math in their head just like that.
That's crazy.
Just you'll ask them something and they go, it's 45 or whatever, and I'm like, how do you know that? Sometimes I'll get my calculator out because I'm like, you were too quick at that. Yeah,
is it simple like addition, subtraction, multiplication, or is it like complex, equations?
Usually when those questions get asked, it is like percentages or like, like what's 23% of 402 or whatever.
Right.
So usually those are the quick ones, but general stuff they can do Yeah, I haven't really asked him any trigonometry questions.
Because
I
you
don't
and I
really
wouldn't know
any.
how to ask them any
Neither one.
trigonometry questions.
You know what? When I was taking calculus for my college course, they couldn't help me.
No.
I was like, do this in your head, buddy.
Did you pass calculus?
I did. I had to get a tutor,
Oh
but I
my
did.
God.
Yeah, it was crazy. And it was just and I think mainly I needed the tutor because it was the stuff that leads up to calculus that I hadn't done in so long.
Sure, of
Like,
course.
the square roots, and then you're looking at these crazy fractions that have square roots on the top or square roots on the, and I was like, okay. So I got a tutor. It was actually Jack's uncle. He was a math teacher forever.
Wow.
And he tutored me.
Wow.
Once a week we would get together. He would tell me how to make my flashcards. He would break it down. He was great.
That's awesome.
He's the reason I passed that class.
Good for you.
Yeah,
that's the reason I'm not getting a BS. I'm getting a BA because my math requirements are significantly less with a BA.
Yeah.
I took a
I'm done with all of those, so thank God.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I took cheers. Many years ago, I went to, for like 2 semesters, I went to a design school many years ago. Wasn't for me, didn't like it. But when I went back to school this current time to finish my degree, which I still haven't done, but I am in the process of doing, they took those transcripts and they actually gave me credit for 2 classes, English 101 and a math class. And I was like, oh, I don't have to take any more math classes. Yes.
So, it's funny. When you said design, the first thing I thought of was math. I'm like measurements and all kinds of different types of things. Yeah.
And that's what we did. And also because I had a drafting class, I think that also may have covered for math. So I was good. I was set on math, which was awesome. And then my English 101 class was an art history class that they considered English 101, which was very strange.
Oh, wow.
So when I got into English 102, I was like, what's this about, huh? What's this about now? who's writing a paper where? How do we do this? What's MLS or MLA or whatever the hell it was called?
Yeah.
MLS, Major League Soccer? No. Anyways, I had to do a quick brush up on MLA and all that stuff when I got my 102 class because I had never heard of it. And so by the second class, I was caught up and I was like, okay, I got it.
And you know that, do you use Word when you're on your computer?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Microsoft Word. It'll do those things for you.
Yes. But if I didn't, yes, correct. But I didn't actually know, like when she was saying, writing a paper, you should be
MLA format.
Exactly.
Or whatever,
that's kind of stuff. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
First of all, even if I did know that I took that 101 class, 15 years ago, there's no way I would have remembered it.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways.
And that was me with the math. I had taken all of those fractions and, square roots and all that stuff, but I had done it
forever ago.
20 plus years ago. So to start a class with all of that, it's like, oh, right. And he had, I think the first week of class was just review. He's like, we're going to review this. But the review was very lightning speed.
Sure.
And so I asked for a meeting with him. And, it's funny is because the class itself was called something and had the word economics in it. And so I was like, okay. And then I had the book I had to buy was called Infinite Numbers or Infinite Mathematics. And I was like, And so then, after the first week of class, when my head was just spinning, I asked for a meeting, and this was during COVID. So we were all like in, we were all in Zoom, which was great because I, put my jammies on and go to my math class. And I asked for a meeting with him. We did a Zoom meeting, and I said, first of all, bait and switch much? Because I really didn't know this was going to be a math class like this. And he laughed. And I said, also, what do I call this? Because I need a tutor and I need to tell them what I need to learn. And he was like, this is technically like pre-calculus calculus. And I'm like, fantastic.
Great. Where's the Algebra 1 class?
I love that for me. Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah.
I wouldn't have.
That's crazy.
I wouldn't have been able to pass it. I have this mental block now, I think, too, about advanced maths and everything else where I've convinced myself I can't do it. And, I'm sure if I dedicated a lot of time and energy and focus to it, I could get it passed. But I could pass the class, but there's no way I'd be getting an A. My GPA would drop. I have a 4.0 basically right now.
You know what they don't ask for when you get your diploma and you're getting a job?
Your GPA. Yeah, exactly.
It's like my father-in-law tells that joke, and I'm sure you've heard it probably, but it's like, what do you call a doctor who got all D's in medical school?
Doctor. Yeah, doctor. Absolutely. It's true. I just, coming from high school, someone who barely graduated because math wasn't my only problem. I barely graduated. And when I did
you have an attendance issue?
I had an attention issue. I had all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But also I had a very, very low GPA, but I did graduate, and so for someone who had honest to God, I think I had like a 1.95 or something, the lowest you could have before they don't let you graduate. So when I get into college 20 years later on an academic scholarship and I start getting 4.0s, I'm blown away by it. And I'm like, well, this is easy. As an adult, it was very easy. I think, you've experienced it. It's so much easier to get an A as an adult because you know what? All you have to do is do the work. That's all you have to do. Just do the work.
Oh, I fought that so hard in high school too. I thought I don't need to do homework.
Why do we do that?
I don't know.
I know. Well, we don't know better. We don't know any better. And I'm also convinced that 3 or 4 hours a night of homework is way too much for kids. Way too much.
Well, yes, I agree.
It's insane.
I agree.
Well, we went off on a rail there, but I think this is kind of the point of this whole little game, isn't it? Big Bag of Questions gets us into conversations, people. This is what we do here. How are we looking today?
That's
how are we feeling about how we look today?
I think you look great. I was just checking that out too. I was like, my bangs were separating a little bit, getting some hair going. I think I'm all right.
Look, this is our 5th episode. We're learning as we go, continuing to learn, right? I think you all will agree, the masses that are watching us right now will agree that our lighting has gotten correct, our technique has gotten better. We're achieving some technical points, but we're still learning, so get off our back. All right. Just kidding. You have another question for me, Teena?
I do have another question for you.
Oh, okay.
And this one I think I know the answer to, but you might surprise me.
Okay.
Do you like small talk?
I'd like to know what you think the answer is.
I think the answer is no.
No, I don't like small talk. And it's not because I'm not good at it, and it's not because I don't find value in it. I just don't like talking to people. Right. And I know that sounds really funny, but I'm a very big introvert. I don't like strangers. I've always been a performer. I've always lived my life visually and big and loud. And I've lived in LA and New York City and all these places where you think, how can you not like people? They're everywhere. I prefer myself and my intimate group of friends and such. And so if I'm forced to make small talk, of course, and in a business that we're in hospitality and sales, you have to make small talk all the time. It's part of the job. So I've become quite good at it, but I don't enjoy it. No.
And being good at it and liking it are two different things. You didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I love small talk. I love the chit chat. I love, and I didn't really realize this until I had a period of time where I wasn't doing it, but I really like customer service. I really like helping people through stuff. I know that's a wide range of stuff, but I think people generally respond well to me. I don't generally get a lot of trouble with it. I know some people, in fact, there's a couple people I work with that are like, so nobody's yelled at you yet? And I'm like, no, people don't generally yell at me. You know what I mean? And with customer service, I am good at setting boundaries, because I have had people scream at me and I'm like, okay, I understand you're upset, and here's what we're not doing. We're not going to yell at me because you want me to help you and I want to help you. But if you're screaming at me, that's not going to happen.
Whereas I would have been like, oh, hell no. Click. I would have gotten fired.
Right. Yeah. So, and I like meeting people, and I like talking to people that I don't know in little situations. I do have, sometimes I'm not in the mood for it. And it happens, and then I just smile and then I'm fine. But yeah, I kind of like that.
Well, I'll tell you, I have 2 thoughts on this topic. One, when I lived in New York City, I had friends who were like, you're never going to meet anyone because of the way you present yourself to the world. I would leave my apartment bundled up, sunglasses on, earbuds in, scarf, hat, and I just look like, don't talk to me. I don't want to know you. And I just moved through life like that, totally blinding myself and putting everything out of my world. And my friends were like, yeah, no one wants to talk to you. No one wants to approach you. You don't look very pleasant, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And we also had a conversation about me saying that my friend was always like, just say hi to someone in the elevator. I'm the person that can stand in an elevator with a stranger and go 30 floors and not say a word and be perfectly fine with it. Love it.
And I can do that too. But I think what I'm saying is I don't normally initiate it with strangers like that. I wouldn't. But if I make eye contact with somebody, I'm going to smile and say hello.
Sure. Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, but if somebody starts a conversation with me, I'm fine. I'll stand there and talk to you.
Yeah.
I remember when we came to New York. It was our first wedding anniversary, and we came to New York to visit you.
You did.
And I felt like I was getting admonished by you all the time, because I'm like, yeah, we're from California. And you're like, Teena, people do not care. Nobody here cares. And I was like, oh. Well, and then you're like, stop looking up at the buildings like that. You're going to get mugged.
Okay.
And I was like, oh.
Okay, look, I was a year into living in New York City. Okay, they were very intense on being safe there. Our school was like, here are all these things. But also the reality is, people listening here on our podcast, here are the people she was talking to. Taxi drivers, waitresses, bartenders, pedestrians on the street, like people who don't care about you or where you're from. No, I laugh about that moment all the time, because it is something that I was like, I love this city. No one wants me to talk to them. No one wants me to be anything. And here comes Teena and Jack. Hi.
It was almost like we were embarrassing you. You're just like, nobody cares, Teena. Stop telling them where you're from. They don't care how long your flight was. They don't care that we didn't have kids or whatever it was,
Right.
whatever I was talking about.
The waitress comes
like,
to the table.
cares.
You guys ready to order? Well, we just got here from California, and you know what? It is so interesting that and she just turns around and walks away from you. She's gone.
Oh man,
that's funny.
That was a good trip though.
It was, but you never came back. I noticed that you never came back. She's like, "Fuck that place.
Well,
fuck him in that place."
It was an expensive trip, and we were kind of broke. And then it was a couple of years. No, it wasn't a couple of years.
What?
How long did you live there?
Well, on and off, I was there for 6 to 15 years basically, but I took 2 years off in the middle. So of 15 of 17 years, I was there. But yeah. So there was plenty of time for you to come back. You never did. Whatever. No, it's a hard.
Well, we saw you on your break in LA. When
yes,
you were in LA, we
of course. And every time I came home, I think we saw each other a lot too. When I would come home to California, so.
Oh yeah.
No, New York City is a hard city to visit, especially if you're not really into you're like, I've seen it. No need to go back. I totally get that.
Yeah.
I have Brian's always like, oh, I wish we could do this, and I was like, too late. We're not going back. We're done there. I've lived there.
I've already done
been
it.
there. We're done.
Moved on.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, did you ask a question already? Was that the question?
What's
the question?
That was the question. It was small talk.
Small
talk. Do you like small talk?
I don't, and there we are. And then you do. You're very, very good at it. What? Here's the thing that would not help you out in my next question. Your small talk would not help you survive a zombie apocalypse. Do you think you could survive a zombie apocalypse? That's what I drew out of the bag. Big bag of questions gave me. Do you think you will survive a zombie apocalypse?
So I think that it would depend, right?
Okay.
So like if I knew, I don't know, I watched a lot of Walking Dead, right?
Sure.
And
I
love
don't,
that
but
show.
yes.
But
yeah.
anyway, yes. Well, it used to give me nightmares. It was horrible, but
and you kept watching
I had a love-hate relationship. Yes. Okay. Well, I had to stop watching it right before bed because whatever night it came on, I think it was a Wednesday or Thursday night, it came on at like 9 o'clock, and I'm always in bed by 10 o'clock. So we would watch it and then we would go to bed. Right. And yeah, I couldn't do that. Nightmares. So I would have to watch it. Yeah, I'd have to watch it the next day earlier. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, but so I think if the situation were correct, if I could post up somewhere safe, I think I could. Zombies aren't really hard to kill if it's 1-to-1. It's the hordes of them that are a problem,
okay. Lesson learned.
And as long as they don't sneak up on you.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. No, I don't know. I don't do zombies. I never watched The Walking Dead, so I'm not familiar with the canon or much of anything. So I'm learning from you as you go along. But because I know the answer, and I would not survive.
Yeah, and there's
I'd be like done.
And there's some different stuff too. So like if you look at just like anything, right? So any kind of I guess that would be a fantasy sort of situation, right? Like vampires and werewolves. Sure. And I think so, like in the World War Z, the zombies could run. They were fast. They'd run and they would climb and do all this stuff. And then in The Walking Dead, they just sort of ambled around.
I like those kind better. Those are better. Where are the Michael Jacksons? Where are the Thriller ones that dance with us? Those are the ones I want. Right. That's the cool one.
The ones that weren't threatening at all. I know. They just wanted to get down. Yeah, no. So I think in certain situations I might be able to survive if I got a weapon and I could make sure that nothing snuck up on me. But if I had to like live outside and run, no, I would die.
Yeah. Like if you had to live in the forest, maybe you didn't have to run, but you had to be stealth and you had to hide and you had to climb and hide. Could you do that?
I don't know. No, I'm not really that athletic, and I don't. Yeah.
I don't know that I could. I don't know. Honest to God, I think I would. I'm being a little silly, but I think I would lose interest. I think I would get I would be hard to stay that focused all the time, like living that much heightened. Oh my God, I'm going to die every single minute of my life.
The adrenaline.
I'd be like, find me the nearest ocean or a lake. I'm jumping in. Goodbye.
And I think that's why you'd have to get into these groups, right? You have to find other survivors, and you guys all have to, have jobs and sleep in shifts. And
there we are with small talk again. And what am I going to do? I can't talk to people. I'm never.
Well, I think when you get to that situation, those people are like your family, right?
Small talk is help.
Depending on each other for, right? You're depending on each other for survival.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but so I think if the situation, if the situation were a certain way, I could survive. But if I was just if I just landed somewhere and there were zombies all over the place and I was on my own, I would try. I would give it my best shot. But I don't think I'd make it very long.
Me either. I'd stumble. They'd be on top of me. I'd be like, oh, all right, fine. I'm a zombie now.
Yeah, I guess I'm dead.
I guess I'm dead. Oh, well.
I like those
That's
questions.
silly.
We'll have to do that again. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the big bag of
Um,
questions delivered well today. Let us know what you thought, folks. Do you want to hear more from our big bag of questions? I think it's a fun way of getting to know us better. But, let
yeah.
us know your thoughts in the comments below.
And we'll take a little break and we will be right back.
Yes, we will.
It certainly is a big bun.
It's a very big bun.
Big fluffy bun.
It's a very big fluffy bun.
Where's the beef?
Some hamburger places give you a lot less beef on a lot of bun.
Where's the beef?
At Wendy's, we serve a hamburger we modestly call a single. And Wendy's single has more beef than the Whopper or Big Mac. At Wendy's, you get more beef and less bun.
Hey, where's the beef? I don't think there's anybody back there.
You want something better. You're Wendy's kind of people.
God bless the 80s. That was incredible. I love that commercial.
That is such a great commercial, and it
Iconic.
was so iconic.
Iconic.
It's unfortunate that the quality isn't quite there. I think though that you kind of get the thing, but where's the beef? I don't think there's anybody back there. I love that.
It was such a huge...
And for years...
Go ahead.
I was going to say for years, everyone was walking around. Where's the beef?
It was,
Where's the beef?
I mean, beyond iconic. We say iconic a lot these days, but that was really the first time. I think that was the first time advertising really kind of sparked the... Well, it went viral before there was anything called viral. You know what I mean? It was this kind of cultural phenomenon that I'm not even sure it happened. If it hadn't happened too often before. There were T-shirts. There were Clara. What was her name? She became famous. Do you remember?
Clara Peller was her name.
Peller.
Yeah.
And she
Clara
died just a
Peller.
few years after that commercial. I mean, she died in 87, right?
Yes. Yeah, she died in 1987, and that commercial started airing in January 1984.
Wow, incredible. Did you find out where did she come from? How did she get the gig? Do you know anything about that?
No, I actually didn't look. I didn't look her up. I know she was born in Russia in 1902.
Wow.
I didn't. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about her, but I remember I had her name. But yeah, it was just crazy, and that commercial was just so cute. They did several other commercials with her, with Where's the Beef. But that one, the first one, was
iconic,
the most iconic.
And I tell you, it probably gave advertising and marketing the first kind of real glance at talking to Generation X. Speaking to us, advertising to us. There was a lot of irreverence, and there was a lot of we didn't care about culture and society and things, and it was the first time we were laughing at a commercial like that and being so brazen about it and calling out other products. Wendy's was calling out McDonald's and Burger King and Jack in the Box, and all these other places. We loved it. Yeah. Gen X loved it. It was iconic. And we still say it today. You'll still hear people saying, "Where's the beef?" They're old people, but they still say it.
Hey, Chris, I wanted to tell you that I actually finished watching Secret Celebrity Drag Race.
Oh my gosh, I've been wondering about this. I cannot wait. We talked about this last time. I said you must watch, and you have watched. What did you think? Tell me all your things.
Okay, so first of all, I loved it. It was so fun.
Good.
It was so fun. So they had the three main drag queens that were like helping out. They were like the stage mothers, or whatever they called them. Right. But it was let me see if I can remember everybody's name. So it was Brooklyn Heights, which is she's an 8 foot tall blonde,
gorgeous. Yep,
just absolutely
incredible.
Gorgeous. Monet Exchange. It was totally awesome. Right. And then I think my personal favorite was Jujubee.
Yes, Jujubee, who is on every single episode of every single franchise of RuPaul's Drag Race, and we love her. We cannot wait to see her more. I am so excited that you love Jujubee. Totally... She is iconic, and she is one of my ultimate favorites. I love her so much.
Oh, yeah. It was great. And so Jack and I watched it. Jack was watching it with me, and we were trying to figure out, there was a couple of celebrities I guessed, I think 3 of them, and then he guessed 1. And when he said it, I was like, as soon as he said it, I was like, So spoiler alerts for anyone who hasn't seen this. I think it's
5 years old. Yeah, it's old enough. Go watch it.
Oh, it's so fun. Even if you know who they are. And actually halfway through the season, RuPaul does a no more secrets, and then has them all reveal who they are.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's not like you have to wait till the very end to find everybody out. But Taylor Dane I recognized right away. And then what was Loretta Devine? I made notes because I was Loretta Devine. I recognized her voice.
Yeah, I think she was probably the only one I recognized, but I also was like, I'm terrible at that stuff. So I'm like, oh, that's that person. That's that woman. Who's that thing? You know her. And I'm like, yep, that's her. That's who I thought it was. Just
the woman who was in the thing with the face.
She's just, an iconic career. You know, that woman who was in the thing. Yeah, iconic career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I knew AJ McLean right away.
Did you?
Right away?
Oh,
yes,
wow.
Because I don't know what it was, but it was like we saw him, and they were covering his tattoos on his hands, and I was like, wait a minute. But I think I might have had something in my head, like I might have heard that later that he
Oh.
had done something like that.
Uh-huh.
But it was instant. I knew who he
Uh-huh.
was. The one that Jack guessed was the one who played Chick LaFay, which was Kevin McHale from Glee.
Chick LaFay. I forgot that was his drag name.
Yeah. Oh, I wrote all the drag names down. I was taking notes,
Yeah.
honey. I was like, we're not going to forget any of this. But he was great.
He's great.
I mean, like, great. And everybody was great. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
Every single person on there was like, it was amazing to see the transformations and all the work that goes into that. And then they're all lip syncing. And I think that's why Taylor Dane was one of the first people out. I think she was the second person out because she's a singer,
Yeah.
right? She's a performer. So she was great on stage, but she could not get that lip syncing.
No.
Because you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Because she's like, I just want to sing.
Yeah.
She just wants to do her own thing. So yeah, it was kind of a mess. But there was so I knew who Taylor Dane, Loretta Devine, I knew AJ McLean, Jack knew Kevin McHale, and the other one I knew was Tatiana Ali. Because
Yes.
she made it to one of the final three. She was Chakra 7.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, AJ McLean was Poppy Love.
Yeah.
But Chakra 7, yeah, I was like, I think that's Tatiana Ali. And then Jack was like, who is that? And I said, okay, so this is wrong, but this is what I argued. I was like,
Here's what I said, but it was not correct. Got it.
it was not correct. Because I kept saying she was the little kid on the Cosby Show. And Jack's like,
Oh.
Rudy? And I'm like, no, the younger one. And he goes, Rudy was the baby. And I'm like, what? And so it's kind of like my whole Michael Jackson Thriller where we had that whole conversation and I was totally wrong, but I was like, gonna go to that was the hill I was gonna die on. And then I thought about it for a minute and I was like, no, there was a younger girl after Rudy. And then I was like, no, there wasn't. There was, but I was thinking of, so it was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Tatiana Ali was the young daughter on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
You were thinking of
and once I said that,
Raven Simone on Cosby Show.
Yes. And Jack was like, oh, well, you know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is a completely different show. And I'm like, I know. I got excited because I knew who it was.
That's awesome.
And then I was just, you know, I like to be wrong loud. So, but anyway, so it was so great. And I really, you could tell that the celebrities on the show had a really good time. And I mean, even Kevin McHale, before he left, he was like, if you're a celebrity and you get asked to do this, do it.
I just think it's something that you know, performers are not, what am I trying to say? Just because you're a performer doesn't mean you can do drag. And just because you're a singer and a dancer and an actor, it doesn't mean you're going to master drag. Drag is its own art form, its own entity, its own beast of everything. And I'm constantly amazed when people are put in drag for the first time and with queens who have been doing it forever, when they talk about how much it reveals who they are or how much it reveals part of themselves or it changes them in fundamental ways that people fully don't explain. They're not saying you're going to become a drag queen, you're performing at the bar on Friday night. They're saying that this has given you an experience that you would have never had and it showed you things that you didn't know were possible. And I think it's wonderful.
It forces you out of your comfort zone. And I think when you get forced out of your comfort zone, you're going to discover things about yourself that you thought were, you know, like, I can't, there's no way I can ever do it. And then you're put in a situation where you have to, and you're like, okay, that wasn't like, I didn't die. Right. You know, and then they start, because you could really see them embracing it throughout the season. Like every week it was getting a little bit better and it was, you know, and it was, they just had so much fun and the makeup was crazy and the costumes were crazy and those dance numbers, at least for the men on the show and AJ McLean, especially only because, well, not especially. Well, yeah, because so he was in the Backstreet Boys, right? They danced and they did all kinds of stuff. But when did the Backstreet Boys all put on heels? They didn't. And he killed it every time. I think he's the only person on that show that was never in the bottom.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah,
I don't think he was.
It's there's also, you know, it may not be a fair thing to say as a queer person to say that, you know, queer people would have. Well, let me rephrase this. As a queer person, we want to look at it and say, queer people would do this better. Queer people have an easier time doing this. Women would have an easier time doing this. It's simply not true. It's just not true. Just because you're gay doesn't mean you can do drag. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean you can wear makeup. Like, there's so many things that these people do that when you put it in drag, it's completely different. So I'm always fascinated when women do drag, when queer men do drag, but then also when the heterosexual men do drag. The heterosexual men, I do think are just a little bit more brave because they're putting themselves in that situation where they can be mercilessly mocked. And I don't know.
I think you have to be a bear. I think I think gay or straight, man or woman, you have to be very secure in
Agreed.
yourself to put yourself in that position,
100%.
right? So because you have to know, and I will tell you, and I know that we had a talk about like another episode that we watched when I was visiting you, but some of those men are stunning
Incredible.
as women.
Incredible.
Some of them not so much. So like AJ McClain. No,
Yeah,
but here's
yeah,
the
yeah,
thing. AJ McClain's a good looking
Yeah,
guy,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Not a great looking
Right.
woman. The costumes, I mean, the performances, he did a great job. I think honestly, the two best looking queens on that show were Kevin McHale, so he did Chick LaFay, and then the other one who I didn't recognize this character or the gentleman, the actor who played, it was Marco Delicato from Ugly Betty.
Oh yeah, sure. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he was Thirsty Von Trapp.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Probably the most beautiful one on the show. And it was just like,
yeah.
And him, I had no idea who it was. And then when he revealed himself, I was like, I still don't know who he is. And they said a couple of shows. And I was like, I'm familiar with the shows enough that I didn't really watch them.
Right.
But he was gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, like we talked about this.
Crazy.
We talked about this. There are different categories of queens, right? There are look queens, there are
Right.
pageant queens, there are camp queens, comedy queens. And so you may not be a good dancer. You may not be the best lip syncer, although lip syncing is kind of fundamental for drag. It needs to be part of your whole rep. If you're not good at it, what are you doing? You know, you got to get better at lip syncing. But again, it doesn't mean you're going to be a great dancer. It doesn't mean you're going to be a great singer. Hosting is a big part of drag. Being a comedian and hosting. So it's about finding your strengths. And I think when people put themselves in a situation where they're doing something for the first time and they've never done it before on live television in a competition setting, it's insane. That's insane. It's insane. And it makes for good drama.
There's so much good TV out there. And I have a very limited amount of time to watch TV. So it's just not, it just never came up.
Yep.
And so when you recommended it, I was like, all right, we're going to take the next several nights. Cause I generally watch, maybe 30 minutes of TV while we're having dinner with the family or, maybe before I go to bed, I got 30 minutes. So the first 3 episodes of this, the Secret Celebrity Drag Race, I think I only watched half.
Oh, okay.
I think they're like 4. I think even without commercials, they're like 48 minutes
probably.
long.
Yeah.
So we would just watch 20 minutes, then we go to bed, and then the next night we'd watch 20 minutes before we went to bed. So it took us 2 nights to do.
I got you.
Yeah. But anyway, so then we'd get to the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we watch whole episodes. That's how we knocked out the rest of the season.
I'm thrilled for your dedication. Thank you for watching. I'm so thrilled that you enjoyed it. You liked it. I can't wait for you to go down the rabbit hole of a real Drag Race series. I think we'll talk about what you should start next, but I still think it should be All Stars, All Winners, just to give you like the iconic, the best of the best, if you will. But there's so much. I think I told you this before. Drag likes to reference things, right? They like to reference queer culture. They like to reference pop culture. Well, Drag Race has become so popular that now Drag Race references itself. And so a lot of the jokes, a lot of the quotes, a lot of the things, if you haven't been watching for a minute, you're going to need to learn what they are. But regardless, if you don't know what they are, you still get to watch incredible talent and incredible artists doing their job, and it's a lot of fun. So I am so excited for you to journey on this Drag Race journey with me, and thank you for taking the advice and watching it. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of fun.
Good, and I'm glad that Jack watched it too, and Jack enjoyed it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll talk more about Drag Race, of course, because how can we not? I'm a huge Uber fan, and there's so much to discuss. Let us know in the comments below what you think Teena should watch or what you think Teena should know about Drag Race. There's a lot to know, so give us your opinions below, and we'll be back in just a minute. Introducing the IKEA Build-A-Car Kit, because assembling a bookshelf was just too easy. Say goodbye to overpriced dealerships and hello to 5,000 unlabeled parts delivered straight to your door. Each kit comes with everything you need to build your very own Vroomstong sedan or Speedhawk SUV. Instructions? Of course, a simple 900-page manual written in Swedish hieroglyphics. Worried about safety? Don't be. Our cars come with the revolutionary Maybe Brake system and airbags made from recycled sofa cushions. Plus, cup holders, install as many as you like if you can figure out where they go. And for the eco-conscious, all our vehicles are powered by our patented meatball fuel cells. Sustainable energy sourced from IKEA's own Swedish meatballs. Drive into the future with IKEA's Build-A-Car Kit. Batteries not included, assembly definitely required.
So I don't know if I've ever told you this story.
Sis?
And this one goes back a ways. So my oldest son's a full adult now, and my youngest one is approaching adulthood. So this was back, I think my youngest was 4, so that would have made my oldest about 7.
Okay.
I need to preface this story by telling you, or telling anybody listening, our one fan, as you can see, hi Bob.
Hi, Big Banana Bob. We're so happy you're here.
As you can see, I am very, I think this is called pasty. Very, very pale.
Oatmeal?
My people don't deal. Oatmeal. My people don't deal with the sun very well. My husband, as you know, he's Greek, right? He's half Greek.
Yes.
And so when he's in the sun, he tans beautifully.
He does.
When I'm in the sun, if I'm not wearing a hat, I turn like a tomato.
You're a hospital patient.
And then, yeah, exactly.
I am familiar very much with that situation. Yes.
Okay, so I say that to say that my children, especially my oldest, when he was younger, struggled to understand like ethnicity and race. Like he understood, he had friends that were, he had Mexican friends in school, he had Black friends in school, he had Asian friends in school, but that was like it. That was his whole, and I don't even really think he thought about it.
Sure.
But there were a couple of times when this came up, and I think it came up in the funniest way. So the first story, Mike was in first grade. And we were all home one day at the same time. I was working at the bank at the time. I was off. We were all home. And Mike asked us, he says, "Is it Martin Luther King Day today?" Just like we were having lunch. And he just asked. And we're like, yeah, that's why we're all home today, because it was a Monday. And my husband says to him, do you know about Martin Luther King? Like, what are you talking about him in school? And Mike was like, yeah, we are. He's like, I learned a lot. And Jack's like, okay, well, what did you learn? He says, well, and then he kind of struggles to come up with it. Right. And he goes, well, I do know that if it wasn't for him, you and Mom couldn't have gotten married.
Come again?
I about choked on my tuna fish sandwich. I was because it's so innocent. He has no idea. And so I was like, and Jack's like, I'm not Black. And he goes, I know. Mike would always he thought his dad was Black because he was so much darker than me, right? Oh because Jack worked construction. He was always outside. So his, like I said,
he was very dark skin, dark tan. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And Mike was like, I know. He always gets so offended, I know. And he's like, well, we're Greek. And then Jack would always try and tell him, okay, this is, and I think it went in one ear, went out the other. So yeah, I just choked because I immediately got it. And Mike was like, what's so funny?
I love it.
The story that goes along with that is a little shorter, but I think it was later that year. They had to do a project where the kids all had to make a doll and dress it like their ancestors.
Oh, no.
So my son was like, I remember picking him up from school one day, and we were going home, and I was asking him about school, as you do. And he said, I have to make a doll and dress it like it was like a clothespin doll. So it wasn't like he had to make a full doll. They gave him those little clothespins and he had to dress it up.
Sure.
And he goes, I have to dress it like our ancestors from 100 years ago. And I was like, oh. And he goes, well, how did people in Ireland dress 100 years ago? And I was like, I don't know, Mike. I said, we're going to have to look that up. I have no idea. Like, that's not something I know.
Right.
And he goes, okay. And he goes, how did people in Mexico dress 100 years ago? And I go, your dad's not Mexican, right? And he goes, I know.
Well, son, apparently you don't. We're trying to teach you.
He was so confused about it. And it was the cutest thing when he was little. We were trying to tell him, this is where our family comes from and all this stuff. And it took him a while to wrap his head around it.
I love it.
It was hilarious.
I love that he thinks that Martin Luther King Jr. is important. He is very important for all of us, of course, but for you guys, you wouldn't be allowed to get married without him. That's adorable.
If it wasn't for him, you and dad couldn't have gotten married. And we were both like, well, I'm sorry, what happened? It was so funny.
That's incredible.
But yeah, so
I love that.
My kids are unintentionally funny a lot, but yeah.
Well, good.
So I wanted to share that with you. I don't think I told you that story before.
You have not. And, I have never heard that story. And that is exactly why we do this segment. We will come back again and again for Adventures in Being Teena every single time. See you next time.
Absolutely. Bye.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We're so glad to have you with us again here in the final segment of our episode. This is a topic talk. It's where we get together and we talk about our favorite topics of the day. But Teena had a great idea and said she wanted to bring some good news to the podcast today. And I love that because I think we could all use some more good news in our life. So, Teena, what do you want to talk about?
I actually want to talk about TikTok. So, I love TikTok. And TikTok, it's a great app.
You do love it. You are all over it. You're on it all the time, and I love that for you. That's awesome.
And I've how much I've learned from TikTok. Just stuff that I should know as an adult. You know what I mean? And there's just such a sense of community there, and it's very positive. At least on my For You page, it is. And I stumbled onto something that I think a lot of people stumbled onto, but then it has blown up so big, and it's so wonderful. Oh. Yes. So there is a professor who was trying to start a TikTok account just for her class. And, teachers do this a lot. They have like a YouTube channel that you can only get into with the code or, if they send you the link. It's a way for them to just reach out additionally besides just class. And so she set up a TikTok account and she was going to go over some different things. Well, her name was Dr. Barlow, and she's teaching Introduction to African American Studies.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it popped up on my For You page, and she was like, "Hi, I'm Dr. Barlow. I'm teaching Intro to African American Studies." And she just did this little introduction, and I thought, I'm going to follow her. I'm interested.
Okay.
Like that. You know what I mean? That sounds, I took an ethnic studies class in college. I thought this would be interesting. And I'm like, I'm always down to learn something. Sure. So I followed her, and she says, I want everybody to introduce themselves. Tell me what your major is. And I thought that was weird that she assumed she was talking to. I'm like, I do have a major. So I commented, and I'm like, I'm a business major. Can I stay? Well, then come to find out, I started seeing other TikTok videos where people were like, is anybody else taking Dr. Barlow's class this spring? And it kind of turned into this fun thing. But then Dr. Barlow, who was actually trying to teach her 30 students, ended up with like 250,000 followers.
250,000. Wow.
And it sparked this beautiful thing where all of these professors, most of them doctorate level, have all jumped on this kind of bandwagon that Dr. Barlow accidentally started, and have all started teaching these TikTok university classes. And so I have awesome. a link. I typed up the list, all the contact information. We're going to put it in the comments below this,
absolutely.
This YouTube video. I want to make sure that if you want to follow these people, you absolutely should. I think we could jump in and get these professors, because they're all volunteering their time. These are all people who teach otherwise. And, on TikTok, they could make more money than they're making as a professor, and we could all get a free education.
I think this is an incredible idea. This is an amazing thing. So let me make sure I understand this correctly. Can I make sure? Because so there's a professor, Dr. Barlow, who she's doctor, you said, right? Dr. Barlow?
Yeah.
Who is teaching class, and she says, I'm going to do a TikTok because the kids are doing TikTok, and I want to be relevant, and I want to connect with my kids. Maybe, whatever. And so she says, hey, we're going to do some additional, maybe some lectures or some additional points. Who knows? For whatever reason, she's creating this TikTok for her group. And in creating this TikTok for her group, it blows up and goes viral. And 250,000 people join. You're one of them. And she thinks she's teaching her 30 kids. And suddenly she's got 250,000 people watching her lectures.
Yes. She had to turn her account private. It was getting out of hand.
Did she ever create a public account again? Or is that one done for her?
I don't know, because I didn't get kicked out of her class.
Fancy.
But I do want to tell you though. So it's just turned into this whole thing, and it's been fun, and it's also been serious because there's like all these people interested, and when you go into the comments and read, it's like we're getting auto enrolled, right? So if these teachers show up on your For You page, you're auto enrolled. I am taking so many units in TikTok University right now. Actually, TikTok University, they changed it to call it Hillman Talk University. So do you remember Hillman was the college that it was the spinoff from the Cosby Show? Was it A Different World?
Denise
where Lisa
went to college.
And this is these professors are predominantly Black doctorate level professors teaching all these classes. I'm going to read some of them off. There's other people too that are doing what they're calling electives.
Okay.
That are fun. And I'm actually taking a gardening class as well. Learning to grow my own food.
That's incredible.
So I'm just going to read off just a couple.
Yeah, what can we study from this university?
So Intro to African American Studies has been closed by Dr. Barlow, but several other professors have picked that up. So that is still out there to take. Legal Studies 101, Professor Hamilton. We've got Dr. Amanda Canteen, who actually is our TikTok advisor. So I followed her because she keeps updating the list of all of the classes that are available.
Oh my gosh, there's a TikTok advisor. Wow.
Oh yeah, there's a couple of those too.
Wow.
So we have Emotional Intelligence 101, Introduction to Metaphysics,
Ooh.
Intro to Emergency Medical Care, Biblical Studies, Financial Literature, Screenwriting 101, Grant Writing 101. They have music. They have Pilates.
Incredible.
There's a Nutrition for Beginners. It's incredible. So I didn't get everybody, but
Sure.
if you're interested, we'll put them in the link below. I think we should really support what these professors are doing.
Absolutely.
And let's be respectful and watch their videos. It's free. You only have to pay them in likes, comments, and shares. That's very easy to do.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do it for everybody. Pick a course load that you enjoy.
Right. It's
there.
It's not a curriculum. It's not, you're not getting graded. You're just participating because you want to learn about this topic. If you don't want to learn, don't watch it.
And these professors have put up a syllabus. And these classes have already started. They started last Monday.
Well, you're already behind.
No.
So you're already behind.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's okay. But because they're videos, you can go back and get caught
That's
up.
right. That's right.
It's so much fun. And just watching people interact and the thirst for knowledge that these people have and the people who are participating in these classes. But I saw there was a comment on one of them that says, one of the videos I opened up, I always read the comments because I think people are very clever and funny a lot of times in these comments. Yeah. And one person said, I keep getting auto enrolled in these classes. And another person says, I'm taking 120 units this semester. I was like, ooh, slow down.
Slow down. What an incredible idea.
So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I'm so glad you shared that because you know what it is? It reminds me of TED Talks, right? When TED Talks were really hot, but also there's a little bit more of a community base here. There's a bit more of a commonality, a common ground of learning. I think this is an incredible idea, and what a wonderful way to use TikTok. YouTube has done similar things with all kinds of channels. You can learn about anything on YouTube these days, and TikTok is clearly following and setting its own standard. I think that's an amazing idea. I think it's a great story.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad you got to still be in Dr. Barlow's class. You'll have to keep us posted on her class.
But a lot of these professors here also have YouTube channels. And so sometimes in their TikTok bio, they'll have a link. But just as an example, I know one of the professors is teaching their class. I don't remember which one it is. It's a class I'm not taking because I was getting a little overloaded, but they're doing Wednesday, Thursday. And what they're doing is Wednesday, they're posting a video and they're giving read, it's stuff you can find online or there's reading or watch this video.
Yeah.
And then they go live. They have a live and you can get into their live the next day and then you can have a discussion that way.
Okay.
And it's really cool. So we'll post these if anybody's interested. If there's any classes that aren't listed here, and I'm sure the last I heard was last evening, there's about 50 of these classes out there that you can take.
Incredible.
I saw Sewing 101. There's Gardening 101, History of Education. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. So
that's amazing.
We're going to post these, and please go, if you're on TikTok, please go and support these creators because I think what they're doing is they're donating their time. And so let's make them rich.
Well said. Thank you for bringing that to us. We'll definitely put their names in the comments below. We'll share all the information we can find about them. And folks, if you let us know what you experience on TikTok University. Have you ever taken a class there? Are you enrolled in Dr. Barlow's class? Let us know if you were one of the lucky ones. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on TikTok University. Teena, I'm so glad you brought this to me because this is an incredible idea. I didn't know this was happening. And I love this. I love when technology democratizes institutions, right? YouTube democratized. Oh, now I'm stupid. I don't know what the word is, but it allows people access to education, filmmaking, content creating, all these things that YouTube and now TikTok does. It's wonderful. And I'm very, very excited about it. Well done.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So check it out and we'll look for more stories like this to bring to everyone's attention. It was a lot.
For sure. And now back to our regular scheduled program. Bye.
Well, that marks the end of our 5th episode. What'd you think, Chris?
I had a blast. Did you?
Absolutely, I did.
I have so much fun when we do these. I hope people are enjoying themselves. We bring you some incredible content. We work very hard to make you people happy. Please let us know your thoughts. We hope you are enjoying yourselves.
Absolutely. And if you did enjoy it, please give us a like, comment, a share. If you disagreed with anything we have to say, that's okay. You can put that in the comments too.
Absolutely.
We really just want to hear from you. If we need to, cater a little more to our one fan, we will be happy to do that.
Whatever you want us to do. We're puppets and we'll dance for you. Just watch our show.
That's right.
Well, we'll be here every single week and we'll do it again and again because we're two midlife weirdos who have nothing else to do but try to have fun at all costs. We hope you will join us along the way. That's all we have for time. That's all we have time for now. Say goodbye, Teena.
Goodbye, Teena.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.